Media. As consumers, we are bombarded by it at every turn, like the Incredible Hulk being bombarded by gamma rays. But what makes some media endure, while others are banished to the forgotten black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again? Who or what decides this? Hetero life mates Steve and Yahel want to know, and they want to know now. This is Obscurity Now. And what's up, Obscurians? It's time for another episode of Obscurity Now, the show where we take a look at weird and almost forgotten pieces of media, and then we decide they should be remembered for all of human history or tossed into the void of obscurity, never to be heard from again. I'm one of your hosts, Steve, and with me is a man who's about to quit life cold turkey. It
is Yahel. Steve, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was good. Then I watched this movie, and then that's how my Thanksgiving concluded. No, it was pretty good. How was yours, Steve?
It was good. I pretty much did exactly what we talked about last episode. Went down to the aunt's house, had a fine mix of American and Southeast Asian cuisine. How about you? Were your parents thrilled with you and your endeavors with Obscurity Now?
Oh yeah. They wouldn't shut up about it. So
Right.
I'm like, guys, let's just throw on the Daddy Yankee CD, and as we are Hispanic, so we're Puerto Rican, so we threw on Daddy Yankee, and we just reggaetoned all night long.
I mean, what kind of music do your parents like? I don't know why that's a question.
Christian music.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
Sunday hymns. Yeah.
Wow. So yeah. Well,
You know what's weird? My I don't know if you know this, but my dad was in a sorry, this is a really weird sidetrack, a Christian singing group.
Really?
In the late 80s, mid to late 80s, till we moved to the States, and they made music videos.
Oh.
And randomly, I don't know how I ended up down this YouTube rabbit hole, but one of their music videos featuring my father came up on YouTube a few months ago, and boy, that was weird.
Man, we're gonna have to watch that and review it on here.
I mean, the music's in Spanish. It's not.
It's
pretty bad.
You and your dad are alike, except for, one's going to heaven and the other is just going to decompose in the ground.
Right. One of us is delusional and the other one is not.
I mean, you guys must have had some great conversations.
Who knows which? That's what makes it fun, Steve.
You guys must have had some great conversations around your Thanksgiving dinner table. And speaking of Thanksgiving, we're rounding up our month of Thanksgiving-inspired media with Thankskilling 3. A movie that we watched, the prequel, or the original one. We watched it last year, and it was awesome. Spoiler alert, but hey, check out the episode anyway. And I was going to say this was our first sequel that maybe it's the first sequel that we reviewed on it by itself, because of course last month we reviewed both WNUF 1 and 2.
Right.
And, I got a lot of sort of similar vibes kind of watching this.
I can see that.
Yeah, which we'll have to save till later so we don't spoil things too much. But I'll just dive right in. Have you ever even seen Thankskilling 3 until this episode, reviewing it for this episode?
You know what? Once I fired it up, I realized that I had started watching it at some point. But, I mean, I had stopped it during the opening space scenes.
Me too. That's so weird.
Yeah, and not because I thought it was bad. As soon as I turned it, as it started, oh my God, I've started this. And I think I just needed to do something else and just kind of never came back to it or something. Because at first I was like, oh, turkeys in space. This is perfect because it's playing off things like Jason X, where Jason goes to space. And I'm like,
in space.
Yeah, and blanket. I'm a big fan of the blank in space movie trope. I think it's a fun way to do something stupid and naturally lends itself to comedy. And for those that don't know, Thankskilling, the original one, and I guess this one too is a horror comedy.
Right, with
Uh,
about a
so yeah, that's my history with three. How about you?
yeah, man. Same with me, almost verbatim. Like I think I maybe started the third one, still not having seen the original. So, or no, actually, only seeing like the first 5 minutes of the original, and I was like, oh, there's that weird topless like woman again. Oh, so they're doing that again. And I was like, well, I should really watch the original someday. And then I just turned it off and never went back to it until 2 days ago. uh,
Yeah,
so
what a journey it
Oh
was.
yeah, I'm glad we can finally put it to bed and I can die a happy man. Or
Yes.
I don't know if I'd say the words happy, but are you ready to dive a little bit deeper into Thankskilling 3?
Yes, please. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
Welcome to your feature presentation.
Alrighty, Thankskilling 3 premiered November 1st, 2012, and it's 1 hour, 39 minutes, and it's not rated, and you can watch it for free right now on Tubi, which is how I watched it. How about yourself?
Yeah, I watched it on Tubi as well. The quality is of the video is very good.
Oh yeah, it's too good if you ask me. But
Yeah.
the synopsis for Thankskilling 3 is as follows. Foul-mouthed villain Turkey carves through the likes of a rapping grandma, a mindless puppet, a wig-wearing inventor, a bisexual space worm, and their equally ridiculous friends on his quest to recover the last copy of Thankskilling 2. And yeah, that was the funny thing about this. You texted me and you were like, are we doing Thankskilling 2 or Thankskilling 3? And I was just like, wait till you watch it and find out, buddy. Because, I mean, I was right there with you. I thought we were going to be reviewing Thankskilling 2, which we are doing that. They just call it Thankskilling 3 because, like, that's basically the plot of this is Turkey going after Thankskilling 2, which is supposedly one of the worst films in history.
Yeah. Oh, the irony. But
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
yeah, and for those that don't know, Turkey is a turkey.
Hmm.
He's a villainous, murderous turkey who has some supernatural powers, and he's very foul-mouthed. FOWL,
Oh,
because we
nice.
gotta go with the puns. No, I mean I think that's how they spell it in the
No, you're
description or
absolutely
something.
right. And now, do you remember him? I didn't feel like he had the supernatural powers in the first one. He was just more of like a
Well, he did because he was like hundreds of years old.
oh right, but all right, he didn't really like use them to kill the teenagers in that. He just pretty
But
much
he got like melted with acid, but he was like still, but he came back to life, remember?
right.
So I
I mean,
mean,
all right. So we could say he's kind of like Jason in the way that I mean he hacks people up slasher style, but still has the ability to keep coming back for whatever reason.
yeah, I mean he's got like powers to get the plot to wherever it needs to go,
Right,
basically. Yeah.
right, exactly. So the director and writer of this film is one Jordan Downey, and his latest film is called The Headhunter. He previously worked on a few shorts, one called Techno Western, and another called Critters Bounty Hunter. And of course, he is the mastermind behind the original Thanksgiving. And he on this film he worked with his older brother Mike Will Downey, and all he the only other stuff that he's done is he was a producer on something called The Big Ugly. So yeah, well, and then the other credited writer, and he's also the cinematographer. He worked on Thanksgiving as well. Kevin Stewart, and this guy has a massive like IMDb. He's worked on a whole bunch of sketches like for College Humor and Funny or Die. But basically, he and Jordan Downey basically work on like everything together.
Mm.
Yeah, more or less. And they're still working today, it looks like. And the name of their little production company, I don't know why I said little, but it's called Detention Films. So, who are some of the thespians that brought Thankskilling 3, or should I call them puppeteers? Who are some of the people who brought this masterpiece to life?
Yeah, one thing I did want to mention before I jump into the cast is that this has like a lot of executive producers who I presume are people that backed it on
Yep, I
Kickstarter.
was going to get to that. Yep.
Yeah, and this was backed by Kickstarter. This has a lot more money than the first movie. I think the first movie, Thanksgiving, had what, like a few thousand for its budget or something like that. And I think I saw this had like 100K.
Yep, and I'm glad that you brought this up because all right, they raised the money on Kickstarter, and as of 2012, it was the highest funded horror film on Kickstarter. So they got in there early.
Yep, they sure did. And going through some of the cast, and I will say, the movie looks good,
Oh, yes,
like in terms of
Yes, it does.
the color grading. Because like one thing about Thanksgiving 1 is like the color grading is awful.
Oh, the
I mean,
cinematography,
the video quality is
overall,
awful.
I mean, it feels like a couple of other movies we reviewed, like Andy the Talking Hedgehog, where they just didn't bother to use lights or had very few lights. So yeah, it just
Right.
looks like it was shot on a like consumer mini DV camera or something like that.
Yeah, if even.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But I will say, like, it adds to the charm of the first one. This one, they had a lot more money, much better cameras, much better lighting, and special effects are surprisingly decent in most cases. There's some CG stuff and some After Effects type particle effects that are actually pretty well done, so I will give them that. But onto the cast. We don't have that many human characters, as you alluded to. We do have Daniel Usage, who plays Uncle Donnie. He's one of the human characters. He's the wig-wearing salesman that you alluded to. He's done nothing that you're going to be aware of, so I'm not even going to bother.
I mean, is there anything in there that sounds like it's worth checking out? Anything?
The Christmas Bunny?
All right, so no. All right, moving on. Moving on.
No. I went through like some of the reviews for some of his stuff, and it all was reviewed pretty. Not his performance, because I actually think as an actor he's fine. He's pretty decent. But yeah, these films are not very well reviewed. Then we have Benjamin Seaman, who does the voice of Mrs. Turkey. Again, not going to know him from anything. He seems to mostly be a writer, so it's interesting that he does a voice here. Then we have Christina Blevins, who plays a newscaster. I actually don't even know why I mentioned her, other than she's one of the few human ones.
Because she's one of she's like the only attractive woman in the entire movie, and she's only in it for like 5 to 10 seconds. That's why you mentioned her.
Wow, you're very upset about this. We do have Wanda Lust, who returns as the naked astronaut in the opening shot.
You gotta have
she
Wanda
was
Lust.
The topless pilgrim. Yeah, she was the topless pilgrim in the first one. You know her from old porn, from your father's porn collection. Maybe even your great grandfather's at this point.
I can just see he's like, Dad, but I thought you were a Christian. He's like snatches it away. It's like, it is Christian porn, son. It is.
Kevin Stewart does the voices, so he's pulling quadruple duty, I guess, because he does 3 voices: Rhonda Worm, Pluckmaster, and Meowmer. Then we've got Jordan Downey, who does the voice of Turkey, Yomi, Wise Turkey, and the voice of Muff. And I don't remember that. What was the grandmother's name?
Flois.
Flois, that's right. How could I forget? Because I don't see her credited. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Yeah. Mark M, whoever that is, did Flois. But yeah, there's just a lot of puppets in this, so a lot of it is voices. And Jordan Downey, I think, he's the writer director of this. He does a good job with the voice of Turkey, especially in the first Thankskilling. However, for those other characters, you can tell it's the same guy, like doing all these voices. So, he's no Frank Welker of Star Trek.
Yes. All right. I knew we couldn't get through an episode without mentioning Frank, and I am okay with that. So yeah, is that pretty much rounds out the cast then, eh?
Yeah, the main cast. Yeah.
All right, so I have a little bit of trivia here. The original Thankskilling was shot in 11 days, and Thankskilling 3 took over 50 days to shoot. And
Damn.
early on in the movie, there's, as we're going to talk about, there's an infomercial that plays on the TV that Turkey's watching. And Ryan Francis and Lance Priedmore from the first Thankskilling movie make an appearance. Did you recognize them? Because I sure didn't.
I did not.
Yeah. All right. Well, then I don't feel so bad. And as we said, this was successfully funded on Kickstarter. So, all right. Well, anything else to add before we dive into the walkthrough here?
No, let's dive in deep. Let's base this turkey.
Oh, good one, good one. So we open on one giant boob filling the screen. Well, it's not giant. It's just, it looks huge because it's filling up the entire screen. As we pull out, it's clear that the boob belongs to an astronaut who has a see-through chest plate for some reason, and she's just floating in space. And as Yahel said,
Yeah, I think you gotta explain it a little bit. Because she's wearing like an astronaut's, like spacewalk outfit, but they've cut out 2 holes in the suit. It's like, now it's no longer sealed and everything, but that's fine because it's a stupid movie. But her boobs, these are basically just like her boobs can be sticking out of it,
so you can see them, so they can be seen in space.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous. It's a callback to the first film that opens literally on a shot of Wandala's breast, and then pans out. And I believe, wasn't the first film marketed as something with a tagline that was like boobs in the first 8 seconds or something like that?
That's exactly it, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was a fun callback to what they did and the ridiculousness of it.
Oh, yeah, I was on board at this point.
Yeah, me too, Steve.
Then,
we should have stopped the movie there.
Well, I mean, there's a few more, seconds that I enjoyed, but
oh, that's true. That's true.
So, a sign sort of floats into frame that says "Space Turkey Crossing," and then a spaceship, a very cheesy spaceship in the shape of like a turkey baster, zooms by and opens fire on the floating topless astronaut and basically shoots her in half. She breaks apart like a Monty Python animation, and it's just freaking hilarious. And then we hear the maniacal laughter of the classic Turkey, spelled Turkie, in case anyone's wondering. And he opens with basically the same opening line from the original Thankskilling. He goes, "Nice tits, bitch, in space." And then we see the opening. It says a film by Cranberryman. Again, as Yahel said, sticking with the Thanksgiving puns. And then another ship calls up Turkey, and he's like, "Oh, nice shooting." And he's like, "Thanks, Captain Pilot." And he says that it's a Pielet. And then Turkey goes, "Pumpkin?" And the captain's like, what does he say? Like, "Oh, yeah." Like, it's a really dumb joke, but I liked it because it reminded me of the first Thankskilling.
Right.
And basically, they warp away, and as their ships speed by, we see a cardboard cutout sign of Thankskilling 2, and we hear the narrator tell us that there's only one copy of Thankskilling 2, and Turkey would stop at nothing to get it. So all this that's going on, you said you were on board. I mean, I was definitely on board. I mean, one thing that I thought was kind of interesting is that around this time when this movie came out, a lot of people were doing the sort of throwback grindhouse thing, and you could tell they were using a lot of filters on it to make it look like it was like extra grimy and like sort of 70s looking and stuff. Like, did you pick up on that?
Yeah, I definitely got that vibe too. I mean, the movie, there's some like interesting like choices with like color and filters and things all throughout the movie for sure. But yeah, I got the same impression.
I mean, were you okay with it going that way?
Yeah, I mean, it was fine because I mean, I'm glad. I figured like the film would look better visually since they actually had money this time. So yeah, I was totally fine with it. I honestly, I really liked like the whole opening, the whole like dystopian. I wish they would have made Thankskilling 2 like with this. Like,
oh, I agree. Yeah, I think they let Kevin Stewart, the cinematographer, I think he went a little crazy on this movie, as we're gonna see. Like he he went mad with money, basically.
I think so too. I think this movie at times I felt like, man, someone is making is setting up these scenes and filming them in a way to like, what would look good on my reel?
Oh man, I
You know?
felt the same way. So let's move on. So yeah, narrator's talking, explaining a bunch of stuff, and so then we cut to. Oh yeah, they talk about their hero, who her name is Yomi, and she basically looks like your typical Jim Henson Muppet. I mean, is that how you would describe her?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, she looks a little bit like the bird from like the McKids or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
Or not the McKids, but the whole like McDonald's kids meal thing, minus like the hair. It's
right,
not the same.
right. I definitely get that. So they say this is our hero. She lost her mind, and then now we are in a desert. There's a dump truck speeds by as the credits play. A dude in a gas mask exits the truck, and then we see another person with a gas mask and a flamethrower, and they are torching a copy of Thankskilling 2, like a DVD copy. And yeah, so everything was pretty cool. And now, like, those shots of them, of those gas mask people in the desert, like, were pretty awesome. Like, they were in slow motion to the music of the opening or whatever.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I was still on board at this point. How about yourself?
Yeah, me too, man. Looks good. Like there's been a few like funny gags. We're setting up like a what could be a fun premise. So I was a little disappointed that it was not gonna all be in space, but you
I'm
know,
right there with you, man. I'm right there with you.
I mean, as far as like the films, I guess cold open you could call it. I know it's not a TV show, but it was pretty good.
Yes, a little, a little too good. So
Yeah,
now it's nighttime in the desert. A spaceship crashes on the ground. Then I thought he was like made of rock at first, but so basically, yeah,
Muff.
Muff. He emerges from the.
So maybe you should explain what Muff looks
Mhm.
like.
Muff looks like a suit of armor, basically, kind of like RoboCop, but his
Hmm.
face like almost has like a sort of Cthulhu look to it or something. Like
Yeah, like his mask has like the Cthulhu look with like
yeah,
little like things
tentacles.
dangling
Yeah,
down,
yeah.
and kind of looks like his body, like he's wearing like a suit made of like when you say armor, that's accurate, but it's more like
Like rock.
mid 2000s video game crisis armor or
Yeah.
something.
Oh, absolutely. And
It's not like medieval armor.
right, but yeah, he's like I don't know, basically sort of a Terminator or RoboCop kind of homage, if you will. And
Right.
he's got this worm on his shoulder, this talking worm by the name of Rhonda. And they see that. And did I lose you? Yahel? Are you? Oh, whew,
Yes.
you blanked out there for a second. Ooh, it scared me. Um, so yeah, basically they kind of have like a master blaster kind of thing going on, like from Mad Max 2. Oh wait, that's actually Mad Max 3. My bad. But anyway, so the worm puppet talks, and Muff doesn't really talk. He just makes sort of robot noises, and he sees that a copy of Thankskilling 2 is on fire, and he says that Turkey is gonna be pissed about this. How would you describe the voice of Rhonda Worm?
Sounds like someone doing an impression of a South
Oh
Park
yes, you
character.
nailed it! Ding ding ding.
Yeah, quite a few characters sound like someone is trying to, and I'm sure they actually weren't trying to do that, but that's how it sounds. Yeah,
I
like just your random South Park weird character of the week.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I got a lot of vibes like this for the duration of the film, as in, like,
Oh, Steven, so did I. What a
How about
coincidence.
that? So now we cut to it's basically Turkey's home. It's like your typical sort of sitcom, like living room setting. He's celebrating his birthday. There's a huge cake, and he's actually watching sitcoms. Miss Turkey enters, his wife, as does his son, who's known as. Isn't it weird? First, he's called Nibble, and then he's in like Nibblar, like when he, when he transforms.
Yeah, and don't they call him like Giblet too at one point? I
Niblet,
thought
niblet,
like
niblet. Yeah, yeah,
Niblet.
yeah,
Okay, is that what it is? Yeah, gotta be careful saying that one.
yeah. So he accidentally throws something in Turkey's face. Um, let's see. And then the mom, for some reason, she vomits on the cake and nibble. Like, I don't remember why. I think she said she ate something. And so then I was like, well, actually, I'll ask you what your thoughts were when the puppet vomited over everything. Like, when we got to this world where everything's puppets, like, what were your thoughts?
I I got a bad feeling immediately. Um, yeah, like it was. I was like, oh, this is not gonna be good. Like, these guys got money. Um, the sets like in this movie are like pretty
Mm-hmm.
nice. And you notice immediately there's like a custom made kind of miniature set that they created for this house, and like that takes time and money. And but yeah, anyways, so the scene you're talking about, like where the mom like vomits on the
Mm-hmm.
son, like I was that supposed to be funny,
Oh
or like
man,
I
that
was
question was echoed quite a few times in my head while watching this film.
because isn't Turkey's reaction? Doesn't he say gross or something like that? Doesn't he
I
like?
thought he didn't even really care. It seemed like he didn't even care about his.
Well, that makes two of
Yeah,
us.
yeah. My thought was like I was like, oh, did someone go like puppet crazy for this? Because I mean, there's only one puppet in Thanksgiving one, and that's Turkey. I mean, I just think it's odd that they're like, well, what are we gonna do for Thanksgiving three? We got a bunch of money. Let's blow it all on puppets. Eh? What do you think?
Yeah, dude. And actually, I got a bad feeling before this started because after the cold open, they had like the opening
Mm-hmm.
credits. And in between the thousands of producers, it's not that many, but executive producers, but they had like a list of, I can't remember if it was like puppeteers or there's several credits related to
Mm-hmm.
puppets that come up. And I'm like, uh-oh, are there going to be like a shit ton of puppets in
Right.
this? And sure enough,
Now, I want to say that, I don't mind puppets. In fact, it was my job to puppet Donkey at Universal Studios. Um, but I don't know if it was the right choice for this movie, as we're going to see. Um, so, out of nowhere, Turkey watches like an infomercial for the Pluckmaster 3000. And it's basically this device that takes a regular turkey and turns it into a Thanksgiving turkey. And in the commercial, you can see who's going to be our sort of main protagonist in Uncle Donnie. He's in there trying to sell it, and there's a funny line in here that I wrote down. Do you know which one it is? It's
no, what was
did
it?
you marry your wife not for her cooking ability, but because she can
Oh,
fuck?
yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so they're marketing the Pluckmaster to women who are to husbands of women who are good in
mm,
bed, but not in
right,
the kitchen, I
right,
guess.
right. So yeah, I mean, some of the lines here, they definitely. I mean, aside from the original Thanksgiving, it reminds me again of WNUF and their commercials. How they just have some, sort of just awesome kind of one-liners, and then the
Hmm.
bell rings. um, but so Turkey gets angry. Oh yeah, wait. Before he gets angry, he watches a news story with that anchor woman talking about Thanksgiving 2, how it's been canned, that it's like the worst film ever. Turkey gets angry and he slices his wife in half. And then Turkey encourages his son to get evil. And this one,
And Steve, I think you forgot to mention like his son is weirdly into and obsessed with the Pluckmaster 3000, and he has like he saved up his allowance to buy like a toy version of
mhm,
it. Um, why would he want something that cooks him as a
right,
toy?
it doesn't make any sense. And I'm going to go ahead and state for the record that there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense in this movie.
Yeah.
and
Which I mean, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense in the first one also, but it's like part of the
mhm,
charm and hilarity. Here they're trying to make it like I don't know, like just be like purposefully on like comedic, and it
The
does not work
phrase
all
you're
the
looking
times.
for, I would say, would be like weird for the sake of being weird, or wacky for the
Yeah,
sake of being wacky. Because like,
it's like they're trying to go for like a Tim and Eric vibe, or
oh,
like a Andre show, whatever his
God,
show's
that show
called, like that kind of
sucks.
like. Yeah, I
uh,
agree. But you know what I mean? Like they're kind of and like Tim and Eric, I think is a little hit or
mhm,
miss, but when it's good, it's
right.
clever, it's clever, you know.
And Tim and
And
Eric, those shows are like what, 15, 20 minutes? We have like an hour and a
right.
half here, a full feature film of weird for the sake of being weird. And like, let me ask you this. So, Thankskilling is a parody of what? Yeah.
The first one, I just thought it was like
Yeah.
a
No,
slasher movie
no,
parody. Is
that's
it like
exactly it. And that's all you need. What is this a parody of?
I don't know, man, because like you watch the first movie and and if you enjoy it, you know, you're in it for the stupid over the top kills, Turkey's one-liners and him just being a homicidal
Mm,
maniac, and you know, these teens, or they're not teens, like they're college students,
right.
not being able to do anything
Right,
about it,
right.
right? And like the college kids have like their own like weird quirks. Like each character had its own weird like stupid thing
Mhm.
about them. You know, they were
Right.
interesting. In this movie, there's barely any
Mhm.
killing from the turkey compared to the first one. There's barely any humans, so you're dealing with like these puppets, and like a lot of in the first movie there were a lot of puns, but they were all like turkey puns made by Turkey. In this movie, there's like a lot of worm puns
Right.
and puppet puns, and it's just like and the grab. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of
No,
myself.
I mean, you're absolutely right.
It does not feel like a sequel
No, like
to
it's
Thanksgiving.
yeah, the problem is okay, so when you look at Thanksgiving, you look at the trailer, you know exactly what you're going to get. It's like slasher movie, and then since you already have your preconceived ideas of what a slasher is going to be, they can throw in like the puns and the sort of like and all the Thanksgiving stuff on top of it, and you can be and
Right.
then there's also a real world in the aforementioned, the college kids basically. Here,
Yeah.
like there is no real world. Like everyone's wacky, everyone's making puns. Even our one, like there's no straight man to play off of. Basically, even
Right.
the dude Uncle Donnie, like he's always wearing that stupid pilgrim outfit or colonial, whatever.
Or yeah, colonial. He's like one like a colonial George Washington-esque Party City
Right, right.
outfit.
So yeah, so you don't know, kind of like what they're parodying, what they're yeah, so it's all a bunch of weird for the sake of being weird. Please don't stop the episode. We have a lot more to cover.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, this was kind of funny. Turkey encourages his son to get evil, and he's just like, okay, well, mom's carrot cake. Like basically, he just insults the carrot cake, and I liked some of the lighting that they used in the scene, as you said, like the movie looks great. It's just
Yeah.
the writing just, and the synopsis. I mean, everything in the script, like
Everything
right,
else, it's just
yeah, like
terrible. I mean, and like there are moments where like there'll be like a funny line here or there. Unfortunately, a lot of times it's like in the middle of 10 or 15 other bad
right.
lines or gags or whatever, and you can't even find the I don't know, dude. I mean, I'm sure people can already tell we
Yeah.
didn't like this movie.
No, it's
um
gonna redeem
I
itself. Just wait, and you see.
I found this movie
It was.
exhausting.
It was. God, shh. All right, come on.
Mm.
Let's get through this walkthrough. All
All
right.
right. All right,
So,
let's get
all
through it.
right, this is one of the, I guess, many times we just sort of cut to a random thing because I don't know. I guess everyone was doing drugs when they were writing this, and they were like, "Oh, it's weird. It'll play." I think they really wanted this movie to be on Adult Swim or something,
I'd argue they were not doing enough drugs.
right? I mean, I was gonna wait. Well, I'll wait and ask that question at the end. So a fly is flying and singing to itself, and then he stops at a dumpster, and we see our female hero puppet, Yomi. She,
Oh, wait, I did get a little bit of a chuckle because at this point I wasn't like
hmm
completely feeling like
right,
despondent yet. But the fly, while it's like buzzing, they do this like shot where like the fly's like at the bottom of the
hmm
camera, And it's like it's like the fly's wearing a GoPro, kind
Right.
of basically, and you're like watching it around. And as the fly's talking, like as it goes to the dumpster, he goes, "How about I just buzz around in here for a little bit?" I don't know, something about the way he said, "I'm gonna buzz
Yeah,
around
that's
in this
kinda funny.
dumpster for a little bit." Yeah, like he's the way he muttered it. I gotta admit that was pretty funny. Gotta chuckle.
And yeah, I mean, and that's basically, I mean, as you were saying, I mean, you've got like 10 pounds of unfunny jokes, and if you root through it, you can find one sort of chuckle.
Yeah.
All right, he asks, so she starts talking to this trash monster in the dumpster. He asks her if she's looking for her mind and says he's got a friend who will help. Then we see a cartoon cat from there. There's like a backpack in the dumpster, and then for some reason they felt to show us it's like an animated intro for like a cat cartoon that doesn't exist.
Yep.
And I mean, I didn't laugh at it in the slightest. At first, I thought, oh, that's, I mean, kind of, I mean, how is this going to play into the story later? Is what I was asking myself. And
Oh, it doesn't. Spoiler alert.
So Yomi grabs the backpack and talks to, the guy from Pluckmaster, aka Uncle Donnie. He comes out, and they sort of have an exchange, and basically he ends up helping her out of the dumpster, and she sees a sign that says "Peace of Mind," and she thinks that Uncle Donnie has a piece of her mind, which, man, that's just such a stretch. And she really wants to go to Thanksgiving Land, and he says he'll take her there. Yeah, I mean, I just, stuff like that, just sort of like the loose reasons for the story to happen. Like, I mean, you
Right.
already have, like, if they would have had a strong plot and story and just piled on like the wackiness on top of it, then this could possibly work. But instead, you got stuff like, "Oh, I see a sign that says peace of mind. Do you have a piece of my mind?" Like, come on, you can do better. You're better than that, Jordan
Yeah.
Downey. Like,
Yeah, it like this movie really the plot's very thin, and you could argue that the plot's pretty thin in the first Thanksgiving too, but the characters are interesting.
right, and I mean, and it's basically
And
a plot that you've seen a million times before. You know, uh,
right.
teenagers get hacked up by something. And so then, like, everybody already knows that plot. So then you can shovel on all the wackiness and weirdness you want, and it works. We're here, you don't know what's
Right.
going on.
Right. There's like you don't know the rules of the universe. I don't think the writers do either. So that's like a problem. And again, I mean, it's supposed to be like a dumb, schlocky horror comedy. So I don't know. Maybe we're like overthinking it. But by the same token, like when I watch Thanksgiving 1, like even though the performances are worse in terms of like acting quality, they're more believable and fun. Like it makes more sense. Like it flows better. You're more invested. We're like, I don't know. Well, I don't want to get too
No,
far ahead
you're
of
absolutely
ourselves.
right in everything you just said there. So, cut to Turkey and Nibble ride on a big seagull. Turkey knocks Nibble onto the ground, and he like just explodes in just this cloud of like blood and gore. Then Turkey steals his own son's soul, so he can find Thanksgiving 2. Like, I don't know, when this kind of stuff happens with his magic, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's just there to serve the plot. It's like he never did anything like that in the first film.
Yeah.
Um,
And we do have Kevin Ball here in the chat. He said, hello, Yahel and Steve. So I just wanted to acknowledge his presence.
What's up?
Anything to not think about this movie for a few seconds. And you're correct, Kevin. This does not seem to be CDI content. I'm gone perhaps forever, he wrote.
No, Kevin. Now that you're here, you have to stay with us till the end. You know that, right? Read your terms of service. So now we are in a nice house, and in it sits an old woman. And her actual name is Lois, but she wants to be called Flois. She's a puppet, and she raps. So this is a take, I guess, on, remember in the 90s when like every movie had a rapping granny because it's supposed to be funny or something? Do you
I mean, I don't think every movie had it, but it was definitely like a thing. It was like a trope.
Yeah, and so I don't know why.
Or just an older person, like a middle-aged person and above
Right,
rapping.
and not only that, like, you know, usually they're also they swear a lot and sort of say a bunch of sort of raunchy things. Well, that's what we have here, only she's a puppet that looks like, God, a Garbage Pail Kid or something.
Yeah, and the weird thing is like she's a puppet, and Kevin Ball said clearly these are beloved childhood classics. Yeah, sure. Uh, so she's a puppet, but she's supposed to be a real
Right,
person. She's treated like a human being. They just happen to make this character physically like they made a puppet to represent this character rather than having a
right.
human actor. And she looks like a gross old woman puppet. Like it's weird because I'm it's like you get a little bit of uncanny valley with her, which usually you get just from like
Mm.
CG. But yeah, she looks like oddly realistic for a puppet, but yet
Right. I
not.
mean, it's just they just didn't want to cast a real person. I guess it was cheaper to make a puppet instead of to, ask someone's grandma to. I mean, and I can understand. I'm sure there's not a lot of grandmas who would want to say a lot of the things that Flois ends up saying coming up here. It's just an odd choice, and it just makes me think about, what were they thinking behind the scenes when they were doing this.
Yeah. And I do wonder if it's like a money saving thing, like you alluded to, because they're already like making all these
Hmm.
puppets and they can just have because who does her voice? Isn't it somebody that already oh no,
It
they
was
did have
Mark
somebody separate do
M.
her voice.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, because the thing is, Steve, like not only would you have to find like an old, like a grandmother age actress to say these things that would be willing to say it, but she also has to rap and be able to
Right.
rap.
I mean,
So,
not that
yeah.
Mark M's rapping ability. I mean, was he would let's just say he wasn't a Scottie Pippen.
Yeah. He didn't make it. He would have failed the crisscross auditions.
Well said. All right, so yeah, Flois is there, and then her son Jefferson, who is dressed in like Uncle Donnie in like full sort of colonial regalia, and he's got like a big staff with a butter knife on the end, which kind of plays into a joke later. They sort of have a back and forth. He accuses Flois of being a whore and asks why she can't take interest in what he loves. And then Yomi and Donnie enter, and like Nibble's soul floats around, Evil Dead style. There's a lot of sort of callbacks to Evil Dead in this movie. I'll at least say that. I mean, good on him for that, I guess. Um, Donnie sends Jefferson back to his post, and then Donnie tells Yomi that he's building a theme park called Thanksgiving Land. Turkey sees through Nibble's soul, and he sees that Jefferson has the Thankskilling 2 DVD in that in Yomi's backpack, and then Jefferson spends 15 minutes trying to turn on a light with his butter knife on a stick. How hilarious did you think that
Ugh,
was? Mm,
awful. And when that stick is introduced, what is it supposed to be? Like something from like the I guess
it
1800s or
probably had like
something or
a something
1700s.
pike, long pike, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess some kind of weapon that was used
Mm-hmm.
then or whatever, but it's just a stick with like a butter knife, which the grandma puppet like makes fun of him for. And yeah, like you said, he's trying to show on this light switch, and the thing is like he could just like walk over and reach the light switch, but instead he has stopped like like maybe like 6 feet from the
Right.
light switch, and he's trying to use the stick, but the stick's just a little too
Mm-hmm.
short. It's
Yeah,
just
I don't like to use the word cringe, but I mean it was boring. Not even cringy. It was just boring, is what it was. And I
yeah,
was like, this movie's
yeah,
already long enough, and you're like spending.
yeah. This is like 30 minutes longer than the
Mm-hmm.
first movie,
Mm-hmm.
also.
So Flois then says that when she dies, she's gonna blow God, and then a sheet falls down, revealing a large sort of mechanism or machine. And basically, that's the pluck mat. Is that supposed to be like the original like prototype for the pluck master? I never really under.
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah, because it's called the Pluckmaster
Ah, there you
One,
go.
and the one that he's selling is the Pluckmaster
Right. Right.
3000. But I did want to put out Kevin Ball. Kevin doesn't live in the States, and he wrote, "As a non-American, I take this movie because I put a link to the movie. I take this movie to be the absolute gospel with respect to this important American tradition. Hashtag educational."
I mean, I would say Thanksgiving one, yes. This, I mean, if you want to suffer through it, I mean, that's your business, buddy. So the doorbell rings. Let's see. Oh yeah, sheet falls down, revealing the original Pluckmaster. The doorbell rings, and Jefferson. Oh, it's called a long pike. Jefferson thinks it's, I guess, Amazon delivering his new long pike, and they sort of he sort of like imagines that it's like showing up, and he's like, "Oh, mom, it's my new long pike, my new long pike." But then we cut to real life, and Turkey basically had just dismembered him, and he's basically just a pile of meat on the ground. Which I didn't mind. That was kind of funny. I didn't think they would go like that, but I liked it. What about yourself?
Yeah, it was fine. I was glad to finally like see some like slasher horror elements in this because there's not a
One
lot.
thing I noticed is that when Turkey is not on screen, this movie sucks. And even when he gets on screen, it still isn't that much better. But at least, yeah, because this is classic Thankskilling. So Turkey pops up, and then he says, "Looks like he just quit life, cold turkey." And I was just like, yes, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, exactly. Those are like the stupid one-liners,
so
and
good though.
You know, for all the crap we're giving Jordan Downey, the writer, director, / voice of Turkey, he does a good job like as Turkey. He really does.
I don't blame Jordan Downey for this because, like, I don't know if you noticed, but his older brother wasn't involved with the first one. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there.
Oh, okay. So you think it's his older brother's fault?
Maybe. I'm just, just speculating here, just spitballing. So Turkey uses Nibla to bring him the DVD. And then we cut to Muff and Rhonda Worm walking in the desert. They call to another worm to track down Thankskilling 2. And I really felt like this scene didn't even need to be there. They probably could have just, I mean, it was kind of cool. They call this other worm, and then you see inside he's like sitting in a satellite or something, and there's just, I was like, wow, like they really got a lot out of their $100,000, and it was just to make more puppets, even if they didn't need to. Let's see. Now we're back. Flois, Uncle Donnie, and Yomi. They walk through a scary-looking forest. Flois calls Donnie a coward. Donnie tells the story of how he lost his family to a pack of wolves because he sent his wife and kid out to get stuffing. Like, what did you think about his backstory there?
I mean, just, I don't know. At this point, I gotta be honest, so this one, during the first half of the movie that I watched last night, and I was tuning in and out of it. And when I told you before we went off air, I'm like, on air, I was like, I feel like I missed a lot of details in it, and this was one of them.
Great.
Wow. So, yeah, I mean, but hearing it now, Steve, I don't care.
Right.
Still.
Well, it just wasn't funny. He delivered it seriously, which you'd think, if he delivered it seriously, it would have been funny. But yeah, I think at this point, I was already kind of worn out from all the wackiness and was kind of starting to give up. And
because I mean, there really is always something weird happening. There's constant something happening. Something's going on in the background. There's this weird sudden change to a different animation, like you mentioned earlier, that random animation. So you're constantly bombarded. Nothing is given time to be taken in. The pacing is god awful.
Well, actually, I never really felt that it was dragging, but
no, I agree.
Oh, it's too fast.
It doesn't drag per se. It's just constant, constant.
You know what it feels like? It feels like a post-Disney Star Wars movie. There's just always so many lightsaber battles and shooting and crap, and then the plot and the story make no sense.
No, this is way worse.
I mean, but I'm just saying it's the same kind of problem. It's you've got a nice looking movie now, but then they shit the bed when it came to the plot and the story. You get what I'm saying, right? Right, buddy?
I get what you mean, but it's so much worse
than
those things.
I agree.
I just don't want somebody coming into this and thinking that they're going to see I don't know, whatever the last Star Wars movie was.
No, I love it.
In terms of pacing.
Okay, so moving on here. And it just gets even weirder from here. Like, I swear they were making this up as they were going along. Like, then this sort of Gandalf-looking turkey shows up. He says he's a wise turkey. Then he tells the story that wise turkeys guarded the land, and they say that turkey is the last of their kind. He gives Yomi a wishbone and tells her to follow it. He tells Jefferson to protect Yomi, and for Yomi to follow the wishbone to her mind. Then the earth shakes and they teleport. There's then a montage of what's supposed to be like in 3D. Turkey says Yomi's mind is in his, so I guess he's like using sort of like I'm sorry for the Star Wars references, like a Jedi mind trick to get her to give him the movie. And yeah, I wrote in here. So, I mean, do you think that, like, you weren't, how shall I put this? Your mind was sober when you were watching these movies, right? Or this movie?
Yes, unfortunately,
so
I made that mistake.
Do you think it would have been better if you weren't?
You know, I started wondering that when I started watching the second half, and I almost got high. But then I said, you know, do I really want to waste my buzz on this? And I opted not to. I do want to put out Kevin Ball in reference to what you said. He said you had me at Gandalf turkey.
Well, all right, Kevin. I'll be interested to hear what you think about it.
But yeah, were you drinking or anything while watching this?
I was at work. So yeah, I was 100% sober.
So you were high on capitalism.
Yeah, with my high pay.
Sweet nectar of capitalism.
Right. So yeah, this is one of the times where I think, I'm sorry, what was the cinematographer's name? I want to say Kevin Sullivan, but that's not the name.
Oh yeah, that's the man Benoit stole his wife from.
Kevin Stewart. This is one of the times where I feel like Kevin Stewart was really just going nuts. Like, it's sort of like a weird like montage / music video, and then for whatever it's supposed to be 3D. Turkey says Yomi's mind is in his. Yomi gives Turkey the DVD. The door explodes, knocking the DVD out of Turkey's arms. And then in walks Rhonda Worm and Muff, and he delivers a pretty good line where he says, "Looks like the early worm just got the bird." And I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, at least we're back to, Thankskilling 1.
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, you hated it? Well, I think it was just...
Yeah, I didn't.
Everything else was so bad. I was just happy to get another one-liner again.
I can see that.
So they shoot at Turkey. Donnie starts up the original Pluckmaster, and I forgot to mention that everything has like a tood in here, including the Pluckmaster. It's like, and everybody's like personality is the same, which I mean, that's like classic, like bad screenwriting, like 101, when all your characters sound the same. Just throwing it out there for anyone who's writing a screenplay.
By the way, I guess Thankskilling 3 is not available in all countries because Kevin just tried to pull it up at the link I gave him. So
it's the Queen.
You know what?
She's keeping you from watching it. I mean, I assume you're in the UK.
Kevin, no. I think Kevin's in Trinidad, if I remember correctly.
You can blame the Queen anyway.
Yeah, Kevin, you're not missing. You'll be fine.
There's other ways, Kevin, to attain this movie if you really want to.
No, Kevin, there's other ways to use your time.
That's true, too. That's very true. Why you could start up a podcast. So
not enough of those.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not.
Especially ones where guys make fun of movies. Yes. Donnie starts up the Pluckmaster. Turkey gets put through it and gets shoot out, and he's basically a rotting carcass. Yomi takes the DVD, and then Rhonda Worm says he met This is more sort of exposition. Rhonda Worm says that he met Turkey on Thankskilling 2, and then in Turkey's performance in Thankskilling 2, he somehow put a spell into his performance. So I guess the idea is that if you watch Thankskilling 2, it somehow gives him like power or something. And that's,
right.
As we've said, it's one of the major problems here is that like sort of clear motivation and clear plot, like there really isn't any. So everything is just off the wall, batshit crazy. So Rhonda says they have to kill the DVD in space or destroy it in space. And oh god, this I really rolled my eyes at this. Muff transforms, or basically sort of folds himself in half, and then the worm shoves it.
He like lays down and like puts his legs behind him, kind of a thing. Like if he's about to enjoy some missionary where he is being
Right,
penetrated.
because that's exactly what happens here. Rhonda Worm basically jumps into his ass crack, and then he has to enter a code, and then it opens up this actual, as you said, this pretty.
Oh, and the code. What is it, Steve? Like we show him like hitting buttons like on some pad on Muff, and he's saying like what number he's
Like
hitting as
nine
he's
nine
hitting. He
nine
just
nine
says
nine nine nine
nine,
nine nine
nine,
nine 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 nine, then enter. Like
and it goes on forever. And at the very end, he says
right,
pound.
yeah, that's it.
Uh,
Yeah,
And it's one of those things where like it might have been funny if you weren't already so disillusioned and like groaned and had already grown at so many things at this point. Where like I was just like, ugh.
yeah. Tell me about it. It was just another time suck / soul suck. Meanwhile, Turkey isn't dead, and then he resurrects an army of skeleturkeys, which I mean, I like the way those puppets look. I'll give him that. Then they come and bring him back to life, but they say that they lost his dick, and then he replaces it with a chainsaw. And like, yeah,
As you
like,
do.
I don't know. I think when they were meeting to like write this thing, maybe they did like smoke a whole bunch, and all this stuff seemed funny to them when they were writing it down. But then they didn't do any kind of rehearsal or anything to see if any of the jokes actually landed, because most of them don't.
Yeah, they really don't.
So Turkey chainsaws his way into Donnie's place. Turkey shoves the chainsaw into Flois's mouth and basically cuts her up. Then we have another weird montage.
And by the way, Steve, I don't know if you mentioned, but we at this point were subjected to several raps from Lois, as well as several scenes where she is smelling her like fingers after rubbing her vagina, I guess, and it's supposed to be funny.
Dudes, ha 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 ha, like.
Yeah, and
that's like network TV jokes, basically. I mean, of course, like, you know, taken to the extreme. Yeah, like the promiscuous rapping grandma is not something that I ever found funny. I just never did. Especially when she...
by the way, Kevin, well, I will say it works on Golden Girls.
Oh, Blanche, you whore.
But you know, that's a little different.
I say that with love.
Kevin... So Kevin Ball had written and asked chainsaw self-enhancement. What does it look like when he's starting the chainsaw, by the way? He never really, like, there's a couple times where, like, there's a chainsaw starting sound, but they never really, like, show him starting it up. It just kind of just happens.
Right. It's off screen.
It's hard to explain.
You know, he doesn't really have the appendages to do so. So, yeah, all right. So we were in this weird music video montage. It's like the music starts... like sort of pounding, and I actually really liked the music for most of this, although there's a lot of sort of orchestral stuff which just sort of sounds like Lord of the Rings or something like that.
Well, and they also go into like, this has like 4 music videos in it randomly.
That's,
and it's just like, what, like I one would have been fine, like for when like Yomi is like getting put under Turkey's spell or whatever. But it happens, right? I think there's like 4 or 5 of them.
Second or third one. I just don't know why they felt like it's like, oh, this is what people want to see. This is what we need more of. Like, they just wanted to pad the runtime even more because they had such, you know, maybe they had like a 14-page script or something. Like, I just can't even wrap my head around it.
Yeah,
they really needed someone else
to
edit it to come in and be like, oh, you don't need this. Like, I think if they would have got this down to like a lean, like 80 minutes, it would have been a lot more palatable, but still wouldn't have been funny.
Yeah, Kevin said they're saving it for part 4. I'm assuming he's talking about the chainsaw starting up. I don't think there's going to be a part 4.
So we're in this weird music video, and Turkey ends up killing Yomi. He gets his DVD, and then Donnie, like basically he's told by Rhonda Worm that, Yomi is from a planet that all puppets are based off of. So Donnie has to use Yomi as a puppet. It's like, again, like just making up the rules as they go along, and like then it gets too meta.
Right.
Then like everyone's a puppet, and then your whole movie falls apart, and it doesn't mean anything. Uh, so
Yeah.
Rhonda and Yomi go into Turkey Hell to get Turkey. They say that Donnie is too big, so he has to wait back with the Pluck Master or whatever.
Story of my life.
So,
You know what I'm saying?
bring. Hey, at least
Yeah.
we got more humor here than Thankskilling 3 did.
Well, it's a low bar.
Absolutely.
Steve.
They see there's some annoying rats, which I guess are supposed to be funny, but they're not. Meanwhile, Donnie works on Muff's.
Yeah, these rats talk about, just to give people like an idea of the humor in this film. The rats like have this like long scene about how they like to eat cheese, and then the other will have to like smell the other rat's butt and figure out from the smell what kind of cheese, guess what kind of cheese they ate. And this goes on forever. And then like Yomi kind of plays along with the game too, like what?
Yeah.
And it's not funny. It's even worse than I'm making it sound.
Yeah, it's almost like frat humor. It's like, oh, we're gonna be so edgy and over the top that you're gonna think it's funny. Plus, it's coming from puppets, which is even more hilarious because puppets usually equal Sesame Street. I think that was probably a lot of their thinking when they were throwing this thing together. So they continue their trek through hell. They see some skeleton guards, but the guards can't see through their stupid disguises. I forgot to mention that like they've got little like turkey thing, Rhonda Worm and Yomi, they have little like turkey, what is it, like the little gobble thing, the beak, or
Oh, they have little fake
little
beaks.
stupid disguise, whatever. Yomi then finds Turkey, and he puts the DVD into this like pretty awesome looking like evil computer or something, and then we're in yet another like music video montage, and Turkey is remembering scenes from Thanksgiving 1. Rhonda Worm tells Turkey that he's gay. Turkey brings out Frank and Turkey. Well, do we need to unpack that scene?
Because yeah, I don't know if you've mentioned that Turkey and Rhonda Worm were at some point in a physical relationship at the very least. At the very beginning, like the worm even says that he was impregnated by Turkey at some point.
Just stupid stuff that doesn't really pertain to the, dare I say it, plot. Just stuff that they thought was funny. And like, if you think about it, I mean, earthworms have like both sexes, or they're asexual? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe they do. In fact, Rhonda says that later.
So there's your
Rhonda
joke.
Worm, when he dies, because later he's like, oh, he gets like cut in half or something, and he's like, oh, both my sex organs are gone or something.
Right. I shouldn't laugh, but hearing it from you, it's funny. Let's see. So Turkey brings out Frank and Turkey, who is this like massive, I don't know, RoboCop 2 Kane looking kind of turkey. He wants to be called Blarth because Darth Vader and Darth Maul were badass or something. So Blarth battles Rhonda and Yomi, and he takes back the DVD. Yomi takes the DVD back from Blarth, and she crawls all the way back to Jefferson through the vortex. And Blarth is like hot on her heels, but then Muff shoots Blarth in the face. That was like the only time there was actually any kind of like tension or drama in this entire movie, and I actually thought it was semi-decently done.
Yeah, but it was also like too little, too late.
Oh, you're
at this
absolutely
point.
right.
Like every time a music video came up, or like some weird random stylistic change to like what we were seeing, just for the sake of it, like you were saying, anytime something came up that was like weird for being weird, and it would just slow the movie down, like a 3 or 4 minute like music video thing in the middle of a movie that at this point, man, I don't know about you, but I just wanted it to like.
Oh
be
no,
done.
I kept turning to my coworker, and I was like, "Man, is this thing still going?"
I thought you said it didn't drag.
But I think maybe towards the end.
Perhaps it
I
did.
mean, well, as we figured out, it's like the pace doesn't drag. It's too much. It's so much where you just want it to end.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So Rhonda, she or he was bitten in half by Blarth, and he dies. And then they actually try to sort of have like a kind of sad scene here. Muff hugs. Oh no, he dies because Muff hugs him. Like he's in the middle of dying, and then Muff is sad. He grabs Rhonda and kind of in sort of a what's that movie of Mice and Men? Is that it? Yeah, where he just hugs him and kills him at the end. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
then Wise Turkey shows up, and you were saying about weird for the sake of weird, where style things changes. For no reason, they have an 8-bit RPG style like cutscene battle where you have to actually read the
Yep.
text, and I was just like, what was the why yeah why?
Yeah, and it kind of looks like it's in the style of Undertale, which is weird because Undertale came out like a few years after this. But yeah, it's just like a lot of text that you have to read through, and yeah, why? I was wondering the same thing
Because
too.
it's
Why?
weird, dude.
Had Scott Pilgrim vs. the World already come out?
I can't remember what year that was. Well,
I'll check on it because it almost feels like they were going for a little bit of that, like kind
just
of
for having,
randomness.
I mean, it all felt Adult Swim to me, man.
No, I agree. It felt like mostly like that, and it had already been out. It came out in
Right. Well, see, the
2010.
thing with Scott
So
Pilgrim is it has a strong, concise plot and story, so they can throw a bunch of weird stuff on there. Yeah.
right.
Whereas this is just they're just making it up as they go along, and seeing
Yeah.
what sticks and nothing sticks. It slides down like liquid poop. So Rhonda then regenerates, comes back to life, and then climbs inside of Muff and charges up the vortex. Turkey defeats Wise Turkey by cutting his head off with an axe. And that is inside the RPG sort of cutscene, by the way. So it doesn't really have any. I mean, it's just whatever. I don't think that's going to affect anybody. Yomi tries to throw the DVD into the vortex, but Turkey shows up and chokes Yomi. Yomi stabs Turkey in the neck with the wishbone, which, I mean, hey, at least they had one setup and payoff. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Turkey then explodes. Yomi and Turkey's Yomi and Turkey's head, because his head is still alive at this point. He's holding on to Yomi, and they're both about to be sucked in the vortex, but Uncle Donnie is holding on. But Nibla, who I think I forgot to mention, his soul gets implanted into the DVD of Thankskilling 2. So, and
Yeah.
then he shows up, and basically he ends up kicking Turkey, his dad, into the vortex, and he gets sucked in. And then Nomi also gets sucked into the vortex with Nibla. And again, they try to play it like it's I don't know, dramatic scene between Uncle Donnie and Yomi and everyone. And I mean, I don't know, it could be maybe, but at this point, I can't imagine anyone who isn't like, man, I just want this to be over.
Right.
So then pieces of Yomi, like foam pieces of Yomi, falls on Donnie. And then cut to Jefferson is at an abandoned theme park saying this is where he's going to build Thanksgiving Land. And that's basically the end. Like, right? Did I miss anything at the end there? It's a weird ending.
No, I think that's pretty much
You
it.
don't know. Did you even make it to the end?
No, I did. I made
I
it to the
know.
end because the one thing you didn't touch on is when we get like the teaser of a possible sequel.
Well, do you have anything to add about the dramatic climax here?
No, it goes on way too long. Donnie is like Uncle Donnie is holding on to Yomi
Oh, tell me about it.
forever. There's a bunch of terrible jokes. The rats that smell each other's asses come back during that point
They're
in
your
time. I'm
favorite.
just
Just admit it.
Yeah, I have nothing else to add,
Yeah,
sir. I
well,
am
I'll
ready
say
to
that.
render my verdict. I don't know
Yeah, I
about
mean,
you.
it looked cool, but yeah, it wore out its welcome. Yeah, let's do this thing.
Remember, obliterated. Next is the question.
All right, Turkey Velasquez. Man, that'd be. Do you think that Thankskilling 3 should be tossed in the black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again, or remembered for as long as Thanksgiving is celebrated?
Oh, I am going to go with toss it into the black hole of obscurity. I was severely disappointed. Thanksgiving 1 is fun. It's irreverent in a really like fun way. This was boring, uh, yet very busy. At times, it's like visually interesting, but you also can't wait for it to be over. Uh, Anyways, what say you,
Oh,
Steve?
well said there, partner. But man, I pretty much echo all the same sentiments. Huge disappointment. I was just angry.
Yeah,
I compared this to WNUF, and I just want to say that the sequel for WNUF, though inferior to the original WNUF, does not drop to the depths of one Thankskilling 3. It was still
yeah.
enjoyable and one that I might watch again someday. This, whew, I don't even know if I've ever even met a piece of media that deserves to be tossed into the black hole of obscurity more than this movie.
Yeah, this is by far the worst Thanksgiving related piece of media we've reviewed this year. And I was reading through some of the IMDb user reviews for the
Mm-hmm,
movie, and some of them were from like people that backed it on
mm-hmm.
Kickstarter. And yeah, they were talking about, how they were like pissed, how it was nothing like it. And I guess like what the Kickstarter, and I didn't go back and look up what the original Kickstarter presented, but I guess it kind of presented itself like, hey, yeah, this is going to be like in line with what we did in the original one, but in space. Like it was sold on
Oh,
Kickstarter as like, yeah, it's going to be in space, and then that's
so
not what
something
it
must
is
have
at all.
happened. All right, maybe they weren't expecting to get so much money, and then when they got it, they were just like, "Oh, why just do, the same thing in space where we could do something totally different but with a shit ton of puppets." I mean, which I don't know, like when someone gives me a lot of money, my first go-to is not more puppets. Like,
Right. And the weird thing too in this movie, like, in Thanksgiving the one, the main character really is the
mhm.
turkey. And that's who you watch it for. In this movie, he feels like a
Yeah,
secondary
that's a
character
big
at best.
problem. Yeah, like I said, whenever he's not on screen, it sucks. Like, I mean, are you ever gonna quote anything from Yomi or Jefferson or Uncle Donnie?
Nope.
Like, those characters are throwaway characters at best. Like, I could see maybe in 10 years, like Jordan Downey might try to resurrect this or something, depending on how his career is going, and maybe start from the beginning and pretend like this piece of trash didn't happen. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's so weird that this ended up going the way it did. And yeah, it's super disappointing and embarrassing all around. I mean, I can't just imagine that they were sitting there like after they did their first like rough cut or even in their final cut, and they were all watching it together and just going like, yeah, good job, that was
Yeah,
funny.
this is
Look, the
good.
fact that we have more puppets than human characters, great idea, that's going to go over great with everyone. But yeah, so I digress. This movie is obliterated.
The heathens have spoken. You are obliterated.
Whew. Well, I feel better. How about you?
Yeah, I am shocked and appalled at like the drop in quality. It's like, whatever level of exponentially better the cinematography, lighting, and video quality got, that same level, the writing got exponentially worse.
Yeah.
Like it's
I
so
was just
weird.
thinking that if you could take the cinematography of this movie and put it onto Thankskilling 1 or combine it with the writing of Thankskilling 1, then you'd really have something. But unfortunately, that's not the way it went. So anything else left to add, partner?
Not at all, Steve. I can not recommend this movie enough.
I know, right? It's so sad.
You can watch it on Tubi for free, as we mentioned earlier, if you want to do that with your life. However, you know what else you can watch on Tubi for free is the first Thankskilling. And if you haven't seen that, I would watch that and stop.
Yep, and also check out our episode for Thankskilling 1 afterward. So that's it for...
Kevin Ball wrote, sorry to interrupt, Steve. Kevin Ball wrote, you'll be hearing from the Thankskilling Appreciation Committee.
That's a pretty small committee, I'm guessing.
Listen, I don't think John Downey's going to reach out.
No, I don't think so. I don't even follow him on Twitter. Should probably start. But hey, you never know. We were reached out by one Timothy Stack and the guy from Chainsaw Reindeer, so you never know. It could happen.
Yeah. And Rob Liefeld kind of is mad at us for no reason.
Well, yeah. He hey, I'm still in that chat room, so everything is okay between us and Rob Liefeld.
And who isn't he mad at?
Oh, tell me about it. God. I haven't even seen anything vindictive by him in a while, which is too bad. I wanted to make that like a regular feature on this show. It's like,
oh man, we may need to do a wellness check on him. Have the authorities.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us there, Kevin, and anyone who checked out this episode. If you wanted to share it with some people, that'd be great, because the more people who listen, the better it is for us. Subscribe on YouTube, and of course, download wherever you get podcasts. And we'll see you next Sunday, where we'll be talking about something Christmas themed. I'm starting up a crowdfunder for issue 2 for Escape to Earth. And there was a Black Friday sale going on. I guess it's still going on if anybody wants to get a copy of Escape to Earth #1 at half price. Ooh, you just can't beat those prices.
And Steve, I believe that you're committed to a no puppets in issue #2 of Escape to Earth.
You got that right. It is puppet free. The whole story will be puppet free. Thank you for adding that.
A puppet free America is a safe America, Steve.
I don't know if I agree to that 100%, but sure, why not? So if you don't know what Escape to Earth is, my comic, stay tuned, because promo is gonna play. And we'll see you next Sunday. Take it easy. I'm having a weird day. The name's Adam. Where I'm from, I'm known as the Zero Thief. Depending on who you ask, some might say I'm the best thief. But believe it or not, even the best screws up every once in a while, and that's what I did, and I had to make a fast getaway. I ended up crash landing on this bizarre planet. Turns out, I didn't get away fast enough. These winged freaks followed me here.
It's just us here, Zero Thief, on this empty backwoods planet. So start talking, either to me or my blade.
Okay, I do have something to tell you. It's about the planet. It's not that empty. Come on, man, I thought you were gonna duck. Cut me loose! Behind you! Whoa! Thought I was done for. It was gonna be a light snack for a snarling creature, but then she showed up, riding on the back of one of those monsters like it was nothing, and with a wave of her hand, the other razor-toothed beast just stomped away. I'd never seen anyone like her before in my life. I thought I'd say something clever. Thanks, have you seen my ship? She gave me a look that said more than words ever could, because I think she was trying to read my mind or something. And from there, things just got even weirder. Escape to Earth. 36 pages of insane dinosaur action. Issue 1 available now at reptilianmedia.bigcartel.com. Featuring a variant cover by Sean Forney. Act now while supplies last. You've been enjoying Obscurity Now.
a podcast that's recorded live to tape and streamed to Twitch and YouTube. Subscribe so you never miss an episode or hilarious quip. Take us with you by following the download links provided in the show notes to wherever you get podcasts. And take notice of our various social media links. If that's what you're into, I'm not here to judge. And make sure you join us live next week at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific as we continue to discuss more obscure media only on Obscurity Now.